Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This one is pretty good. This match I wasn't following it. I think I was posted on Discord and then I saw the ending and I was like, wow, that was a crazy match. It's also going to be different because this is high funds mode. It's not standard and it's not fog, so it's a little bit different. I would say a little bit similar to standard, just because, of course, you can see everything. So you can prepare for whatever your opponent is building. But the main thing from high funds is that, you get double the income for properties. And it's not just about that. It's just the fact that, like, instead of, making infantry and tanks and, like, artillery, so now you're gonna make neo tanks and bombers and mega tanks, and you just spam those, and then you make them crash and just have them explode against each other and see whoever when the dust settles, see who wins. No, in my match against VOA, Voice of Akasha, aka Hellraider, I think. I learned that it's not just all about those big units, those big boys, neo tanks and bombers and stuff. There's definitely a lot of like normal units that you can spam and use them very well. You can strategize much better where to send your tanks here and there, and like there's a lot in play, and it opens up also a bunch of different options of openings. It's not just about who gets a tank first. Or a copter first or something like that. In high funds, it's also like you can open with transports, which is something that is more related to fog because you don't know what the other one is opening, so you can get away with making a transport without it getting punished. In standard, not that much because you can see the APC or the T-copter, and then you can just calculate and then just send the vehicle to like punish whatever they want to get. But in high funds is pretty normal. I actually like a lot doing transport openers, because it enables you to get these more contested properties quicker. In this map specifically, let's talk about the map. We have your regular strong side 2 base, and then your weak side 1 base with like the lab, which is the HQ. You got 2 airports, of which 1 is already pre-owned, so that's really nice. This like enables you to make a T-copter, I think, day 1 for player 2 because of the other city, so that you can do 1, 2 plus 5 is 7, but player 1 can't. You have to base skip, so that will be player 1 T-copter, turn 1 T-copter for player 2 and turn 2 T-copter for player 1, which is really nice. You can start getting some of these, maybe with some boosties, and then a little bloop, and then you get another city, and then. But there's another airport over here, so this is like a 2 base, 1 airport. You got a port as well, which is very useful. You can make transports like black bolts or landers. Of course, you're gonna come over here to get these cities. This com tower is pretty safe, but you might want to contest it a bit. This one is a little bit contested, but it's like these 2 belong to green, and then these 2 belong to red, kind of thing. This city is pretty contested. Like locked, so no land vehicles can attack. It's more like copters and stuff. But look at all these shows. Like you can use landers and black bolts, and you can throw stuff in here. Because like normally you would send units from here, like land vehicles, and it just takes forever. Look at all these forests. Like you have to come through here, and then from here you have to decide where to go, and it's like. If the opponent controls the middle, then all of these units are kind of stuck here. Like the middle, I think, is pretty important in this map because it can enable you to decide where to send your forces from your strong side, and it also enables you to be able to unload units from your strong side like safely. So there's a lot of stuff happening here. The middle is pretty important. Over here you have a little bit of contested stuff, and then you also want to send stuff over here. It's a little bit choky over here, so it can get to a point where red has these, green has these, and then you just kind of like stare at each other over here. But air units are super strong, of course, and you'll see there's a lot of stuff going on in this match. And then these 2 players, they're both very strong top players. I think Shock is like, or has been, either is or has been number one in Hyphen's ladder for a while. And then LVJD is also a very strong player that has just come back and has also stumped me in a fog match. This player does a lot of weird openings and weird stuff. When I mean weird, it's like base skipping on day, I don't know, 4 to get a tank a turn earlier, or I don't know, makes rockets in standard or fog, or just does like very unconventional, non-meta things. So it's always very interesting to see LEJD's matches. I'd recommend following this player's matches. There's always something funny and interesting to see. What else? I think that might be it. Let's move on to the match. So, of course, we're gonna start and everyone goes for their properties. LVJD doesn't make a T-Copter turn 1, but Shock does go for the T-Copter in turn 2. Oh, LVJD decides to go for Copter first, so probably to get some harassment. So you can already see that this infantry got boosted from here, which will enable this capture a turn earlier. So already starting to pay off. Sending a copter, making an anti-air. Now another boost. This infantry will get boosted. You then get this city another turn earlier. So that's already 2 cities that Shock is gonna get a turn earlier. And every city in high funds is so important because it's 2,000 a turn instead of 1,000. Like even flipping a city, an opponent's city, is huge. That's a 4k income swing. Let's see. What else? So let's see what the T-Copter does. This B-Copter is trying to harass over here. Can't really do much right now. And this Copter is probably just gonna protect. And it's gonna try to get this city over here. Now we'll see what LBJD decides to do. I guess the T-Copter was used mostly for here, for the weak side, to get some early caps. So this one, which LBJD doesn't have and will not have for the next at least 2 or 3 turns. So that's really nice. And then this one also, Shock. Yeah, so pretty much these two, the ones that were boosted to get, you will start to see that Shock will have them before LBJD will. And as I was mentioning before, LBJD decides to make a lander. And you're like, a lander, day 5 lander. You'd never see that on standard or fog. In high funds, it's pretty normal, and in some maps, it's very nice to add. Like for example, this artillery will have to like drag over here, 2, 4, 5 over here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another 2, 4, 5. That's like 3 turns just to get here. And maybe it's not even in position yet. Like maybe it needs another turn to be here, or whatever, another turn to be over here. But with this lander, it can just get in, and it can be dropped off here or here, whatever. It can already be like, locking this city. It can sit here and be locking this comm tower. So lander really giving a lot of possibilities of reinforcements into the middle, and also of course like to get these cities over here. Also goes for a mech. We haven't seen any big units yet, no Neo tanks, no bombers yet, but we have started to see a lot of variety. There is a tank, but there's also a lot of copters. There's an anti, there's an artillery, there's a mech. Mech in high funds. What? Yeah, mechs are good. Yeah. Oh, I had noticed this. So LBJD decides to do the disrespect move. Goes with a copter and kills the T-Copter from Shock. Instead of going for this, instead of going for the infantry, which would be, I don't know, maybe your more standard approach. decides to go and take out the T-copter. Not sure if that's worth. I don't know. It's kind of strange, but it does like slow your reinforcement. Well, your infantry reinforcements and your capture phase. But I would say it was already paid off. Like getting 2 cities quicker, that's pretty much 4K already. Getting it before your opponent, that's quite nice. And it also enables this, like then Max can get a hit off of the the copter. Oh, I forgot to talk about the COs. We got Max and Von Bald, and usually these two are separated in tiers in Fog and Standard. So they're like Max is tier 2 and Von Bald is tier 1. But in High Funds, oh, this is the other thing I had to talk about. High Funds. So in High Funds, the tiers change compared to the other modes, and it's because another of the big differences in High Funds, because you get so much money and because army value can become so much, it can accumulate a lot, and the engagements can be like of a lot of unit value. You can get a lot of charge very quickly, and so therefore powers, your power or your normal power or your superpower, they become active much more quicker and much more like regularly. So Max can be having a Max Blast, and then 1 turn or 2 turns later we can have another one. So COs that rely on their powers or that have like very strong powers become stronger in High Funds. Like Olaf, for example. Eagle is busted. Like Eagle is tier 1, but I've heard some people consider Eagle as tier 0. Who else? Well, Hawk is still tier 1. But like Drake is also tier 2, so it'll be in the same tier as these two. And Volvold, he goes down from tier 1 to tier 2 because his power is not that good as other powers. Like, it's not a bad power, it is kind of expensive, but there's other powers that are just stronger than Volvold. Like Drake's superpower costs 7 stars and just destroys 20% of your army, and this one is like more expensive to just do like 1 missile. It's very easily like baited, but Drake's isn't. But Von Bolt's day-to-day is still very strong, so it still keeps him there very competitive. Basically what I wanted to say is that you might think, oh, this is a underpick from Shock. No, they're both from tier 2. This is very correct. They're both from tier 2. They're both here. So they're both playing at the same tier level. Now, going back to the match. Until this enables Max to hit Von Bolt's copter. And there's no retaliation. Like, this anti-air cannot reach, there's no copter whatsoever. So all in all, I don't agree with that copter going to kill the T-copter. You could have just like saved this copter and harass a little bit more. Now that land is coming into play, dropping out the artillery right there, and the mech will go in front. I wonder if AWBW will try to... Oh, I thought he might try to interrupt that, so then he could like shoot at it. But he decides to use the copter as a blocker for the artillery. Builds another transport, so he builds a black bow, and we got Shock also making a lander as well. Shock is already getting all the back properties. Starting to move out to this island over here. Start to get these 2 cities. Moving with the tank to the middle, and that copter is sliding right past the anti-air's range to start to harass over here, where AWBW has nothing to counter. He would have to build... I mean, there's nothing he can build to counter this, like protect his units. He'd have to bring back the anti-air, but this tank is like threatening, so I guess he can like slip through over here, but still it's kind of hard, just because this tank is already here. Let's see if this copter would have been alive, like yeah, at 10 HP. It could have just sat here, but then it could have like moved down here with the support of the anti-air, and so if the copter decided to attack any of these infantry, then the copter could have come here. Yeah, that would have probably been better. And Shock deciding to go here just to be out of range of the anti-air, and I don't know, blocking. I think it's probably blocking the path of the transports or the infantry or something. It's an interesting placement. So yeah, it takes out the infantry over here. Artillery and mech. Probably just gonna jump in with the infantry to get that city. And uses the copter to block over here. There's an interesting tactic right here. So LBJD has no way of covering this infantry, like of making sure that Shock can't interrupt it with his copter, because the tank can't. This is a mountain, so there's only sea tiles here. Only a copter could interrupt this. And I wonder if like he could have maybe put the black bow here and the copter here, and then this copter would not have been able to attack here. But what I think LBJD was thinking is to give Shock an option, or give Shock options. Basically, use this copter. You can run away with a copter. Option 1, and then nothing happened, or he gets the city for free. Option 2, use the copter to interrupt the city capture, but it has to be from over here, from this tile right here, because it can't reach over here, and it can't sit in this one. So he has to sit here to interrupt the capture, which would then enable LBJD to kill the copter with this anti-air without being punished by a tank. Say, for example, if this copter would have sat here, then the anti-air would have to come over here to kill the copter, which would be like very into the range of the tank. And then if this tile would have been available, then he could have come here, and then there would be no way for this anti-air to hit that copter back. So this is a very smart little thing from LBJD, just the positioning and like of where he put this little copter. At least it got a little bit of value now. Like it's gonna make him decide. Like the other option, the third option would be to send the copter here to kill this copter, so that the anti-air doesn't kill it. But then that means that LBJD gets the city. We'll see what Shock decides to do. It's probably one of the last things that he does in this turn, because okay. So yeah, he goes and decides to go kill a copter, which I think is it's okay, because this is your weak side. You don't have a lot of units over here, so one unit sometimes becomes more valuable than, I wouldn't say a city, but it's kind of like delaying a city. Although sometimes you do want to delay your the cities that are going to get flipped, but this one seems a little bit inevitable. So this copter can do a lot of work. So Shock decides to keep his copter, but give away the city, and starts harassing over here because there's no coverage. This anti-air did not come over here to protect the units on this side, and this anti-air is too late. It should have been, if it would have been a turn earlier. I guess this tank was kind of to respond to this tank. Oh, there's also 2 mechs. Very funny. And LBJD, another transport. He makes a T-copter. This T-copter is probably to come over here and get the city. You start sending stuff. So yeah, you're starting to see just how much unit variety there is in Hyphans at the high level. There is no big units yet, and it's not like they don't have the money. Like they could be making, a fighter and heal tank and 2 infantry, but they're making copter, tank, recon even. Recon. Oh, yeah, I guess recon is pretty good, because you leave it here, and because of the shoals, it can run around. That's pretty nice. So like, it's basically like standard, but you get more options of units, maybe. Some people have the bold claim of saying that Hyphans is the best mode. Not sure about that. I wouldn't go that far to say that there is a best mode. I like all three modes pretty similarly. I think they all have their own thing. I do think that standard is probably the most stressful, or is the one that demands the most brain capacity from me. So I try to keep just one standard game at a time. Shock here deciding to interrupt this com tower because this one is actually belongs to Shock. You can see the LVJD already has this one, and we'll soon get this one. Oops. And Shock has this one, but doesn't have this one. So right now, literally, Von Volt's units are just straight up stronger than Max's because he has 2 towers and he will have 2 towers, and Max has 1. And imagine if Von Volt gets 3 towers, it'll be like 140 and 110 plus 130 and 100. So yeah, he's like, you're not getting this comm tower. LVG had actually put this black boat right here to stop the infantry from interrupting the cap. He could have used the recon. Well, we'll see. Or uses the recon to finish it off. Yeah, he sends the recon. He does tank recon to finish off the capture. Does not want to give Von Volt a 3rd tower. Sits the tank in the city to hit the anti-air. Everything is in range of this artillery. And this mech. This artillery can hit that recon, and this mech could also stop the capture and hit a tank, which would be completely worth it, in my opinion. You could hit with this artillery, this recon, probably finish it off. It probably dies from the artillery, and then with these 2 mechs, you hit this tank, and this artillery hits this tank. Like, you could completely destroy this. That's pretty valuable. Oh, and the copter comes in. Oh, it's a weird decision. I think it might be just to like kind of block maybe the mechs. We'll see what LVJD does, but I was thinking that Shock would like save the copter to have it to then come in and hit. But yeah, now this is gonna be 4 units that will most likely die. And that's like all the forces on Shock's weak side. And it'll be really hard to get this comm tower if he doesn't have these forces over here against all. Again, this is like blob of like random units. Insane. But Shock does have like the middle control. He's always had a tank here and now has 2 copters. VJD, although it looks very strong on this side, he's kind of like very slow over here, and Shock is like slowly creeping in. He does have these 2 cities over here, while AWBW doesn't. You can see the income difference because of the opening and just of the approach. It's just a different approach. Like, Shock went to get more cities, more income, and LVGD is going for like the denial of the comm tower and just going like strong side into the weak side, try to take control of this whole area. But it's also kind of like letting the middle. The middle is pretty important. Again, it's like whether the reinforcements. I guess LVGD is like, whatever, you can have the middle. I'm never gonna send units through over here. I'm just gonna send them with the lander over this way. This is the first time that we're seeing big units, fighters, and it's very common to see fighters on icons, because once someone makes a fighter, then it becomes a fighter spam, because whoever has air control or air superiority, it can be pretty devastating. Being able to send your copters and your bombers to just go and just hit everything and destroy everything is very, very strong. LVJD base skip. This is something that LVJD does. Base skip, double base skip, or I guess I don't know. He made 2 air units, so he did copter, fighter, tank. Oh no, yeah. So he made 3 units. It's kind of questionable, but I guess he really felt the need to have these. But again, it's a very LVJD thing to do. Base skipping. for LVJD is pretty normal. So takes out the recon with an artillery. With that artillery hits the lower tank. Yeah, this copter wasn't really doing anything because it wasn't blocking the mechs. This would just kill the recon and enables the mech to come over here. Infantry tries to finish off the tank. The lander blocks. The anti-air takes out the copter. Oh, actually finished the cap with the mech. Makes another black boat. Brings the other black boat to block and it's gonna shoot. Yep, shoots at the tank. Brings in the fighter. Makes another fighter. So fighter spam has begun. We'll see if Shark makes another one. But this area right here is looking really nasty. I mean, it's not very strong units. It's like a little blob here of units, but it's definitely denying Shark from this comm tower. Like this artillery is already lugging that comm tower. There's no way that Shark can get this, and most likely can't get this one as well. And LVJD has both of them. And trying to steal them, like if Shark wants to steal these, is gonna be really hard. Once you have these, or once, like, if you don't get them early or by this stage, it's very hard to get them afterwards. Just because of the amount of units. It's also like right in front of like the reinforcement area from the strong side. The weak side just always comes like this, so it's 2 turns, can hit and always be interrupting, while from the strong side it's a bit awkward to get here. So pretty good job from LVJD to deny those two. It keeps Max's day-to-day at the same level. Yeah, so they're pretty much at the same level of strength. Like the direct units of Max are at 130, and Von Bolt's is at 130 plus the 10 defense, but the 130 also applies to every unit, so you know, artillery and infantry at Max. So pretty strong. So in day-to-day matters, all of Von Bolt's units are just way stronger than Max's right now. Max really wants that second comm tower. I think also with 2 towers, Max is one of the few COs that can 2-hit KO Von Bolt's units on cities, because it gets to 140. Because with 130 you can't kill Von Bolt's units, but with 140 you can. So really denying that comm tower, it hurts. Shark coming in and killing off the mech, hitting the artillery. This might hurt. Trying to go for the comm tower. Goes for the other city. Starting to try to go to the middle to get those 2 cities in the middle. Brings in the fighter. There goes the recon. And trying to come like everything here, over here and the middle. Just gonna completely leave this because there's already some units from LVJD, so trying to take this over or fight over here is just gonna require a lot of units, and he decides I'm just better off probably going for the middle and trying to reclaim this area right here. He is in the income advantage and will stay even at that after this turn. LVJD just really behind on captures. And now LVJD can kill a copter. Could send a fighter. Look, we already have fighter, and fighter. This fighter is in range of this fighter, but that's okay because I got another fighter to back up that fighter. And then, you know, it's like the same. They're all just looking at each other. Whoever starts to attack will probably lose. Like if Shark wants to attack over here, it will be from 1 base range, or 1 turn range from the airport, so you don't want to do that. So these fighters are gonna like stay like this. It's like taking care of the army. Taking care of the army and just trying to see where to attack them. You know, very protective, like guarding the army from behind. more black boats and T-copters. The lander, like these two over here, they have been working as blockers for the past couple of turns. So he decided to make a new one to bring more infantry and mechs. Look at that. Lander, black boat, repairs artillery. Will probably shoot at the shoots at the infantry, kills a copter, brings in the fighter to kill that copter. Starts bringing in more units. Look at that little mini death ball. Brings the other fighter out of range of this one, of course. If only Shock had an anti-air over here to like hit this fighter. So look at this like blob of units right here, and like how it's walled as well. I don't think there's any way for Shock to like punch through and kill these artilleries to, you know, really take control of the city and this comm tower, because this fighter will not die. Even with a super, I'm not sure. I don't think it died. Maybe. Not sure. But I think it doesn't die with a super. And then these black boat and lander will not die. Like there's no bomber. You need, like, you have a copter, but these tanks do like 1 HP damage to these. So these two are unkillable. You need 2 units to kill this fighter. I don't think there's anything to one-hit KO this infantry. You could kill this, but there's a mountain. You still have to kill this infantry. It's just kind of like an impenetrable little place of LVJD, and we'll be bringing these as well, starting to make big units. Anything, a medium tank, not even a neo tank, just a medium tank, casually. So what does Shock do? He does have his super already, and maybe there's some attack that he could do. You know, Max's super is very strong, and that +2 movement is very, very strong. Something that Von Bolt doesn't have. Like, doesn't have any extra movement from powers, doesn't have any extra firepower boost. It's just the missile. So Max can really threaten with that extra movement and the extra attack. It's +2 movement. That's a lot. So then Von Bolt has to like move back and position units in a way that Max could not be able to send units and kill it. So like, you don't have to use your power. Shock doesn't have to use the power. You can use it, you can hold it and have it as a threat, which is very, very strong. It forces the opponent into very awkward positioning, has to take decisions where to put units, and so actually Shock leaving the comm tower. Shock is like, fine, I'm just not gonna get this comm tower. It's just pretty much impossible for now. Can't break through this whole blob right here, and just won't have this comm tower. Probably decides, you know, maybe I'll just hold off. You know, take the middle, take the 2 cities in the middle, take control of this area, which is very strong, because then it's hard for LVJD to join forces. You'll see there's one blob right here, and then there's like a mini blob over here, but Shock has almost kind of everything kind of in the middle. And once you control this area, you know, LVJD can't just like join them, because it would be like over here and it would be just in range of everything from Shock to hit. So has to be very careful how he places the units. Let's see what he does. Starts to send infantry over to that island finally to get those cities. All this time Shock has always been ahead in income, but LVJD putting in the work to stop that comm tower. Actually, Shock finally got this city, so that's nice for Shock. Decides to this anti-air over here. I mean, depends. Shock can just have a tank here, so I don't think it will do too much. And now we start to see the big units. 2 fighters, the 3rd fighter for LVJD. There's a bomber for Shock, and you start to see neo tanks. Also, I think there's a unit limit of 50. I think there's certain maps that it's increased, but I'm not sure what it was for this one. So once you start getting too close to like 40 from 50, it's like you gotta make big units, because if you keep making tank, you're just gonna reach a unit limit, and then you're like, oh yeah, can't make any more units. So once you start to get close to the unit limit, you want to, like, you should make big units, make neo tanks and bombers, make more valuable units, or mega tanks even. Shark getting those middle properties, AWBW trying to, get together, but you just can't. You can't get together because all of this is pointing right over here. There's no way AWBW can join forces right now. And Shark is like, fine, you can have that comm tower. Well, he's not gonna have it. There's no infantry in range to capture this. He's like, okay, I won't have the comm tower. Fine, AWBW. After all this like fighting and massacre, because there's so many units of Shock died over here to try to get the comm tower, but AWBW was like, nope, you're not getting it. Shock is like, okay, fine, I get the middle, and I'm going for your comm tower. That's gonna be nice if he's able to get it. And starts to attack into the weak side of AWBW, moving these infantry in front of the entire poor little infantry. Starts to go for that city, starts to harass more infantry, brings in more units, brings the fighters, recon. That recon really moving a lot through the shows. It's pretty cool. But still keeping a little bit in the middle. I'm guessing China kind of denying, maybe stopping or delaying this comm tower. Doesn't want to just give up. Also, you have the lab, so it's not an area that you should just like forego, because then they can threaten an HQ or lab cap. Finally, AWBW going for those 2 cities in the north. He's like, nope, you're not getting that city. Kills a tank, interrupts the comm tower with an infantry, because I think that's the only one that could actually interrupt. Yeah, that's funny. There's no other unit that could have hit this infantry to stop the comm tower cap, because you can't kill this. Yeah, so I had to sack the little 2 HP infantry to stop the comm tower cap. Brings in the Neo. Starts to uses the lander to bring in some units in, use them as blockers, and the black bolt, and places the mag. Starts bringing in even the medium tank and the anti-air. Keep going with this other lander. There's 2 landers and 2 black bolts. Very funny. I mean, Drake here would be pretty busted. Like his navals have so much defense, they're like unkillable. Yeah, bringing in the blobs. It's like the blob against the semi-blobs over here. Doesn't even want to go for the comm tower. AWBW never wanted the comm tower. You just wanted to deny Shark from getting it. All the fighters are here. The fighter squad is waiting for the bomber or whatever to engage, and then they can start hitting stuff. Kind of like chasing Shark's front shift. Like he was trying to front shift to the middle and here to the south, and AWBW is like, okay. And it's like, yeah, I got slow units. I got an artillery, mags, medium tank. They're all very slow units, but I got so many transports. Look at all these. They go from here, they go blah, blah, blah. They're repositioned in one turn. Double neo tank or neo tank chain. And Shark keeps doing smaller units as well. It's not just about neo tanks and bombers, Hyphen. I'm telling you. I'm not trying to sell you high funds, but so Shark actually decides to use the super now. It's been a few turns, probably like 3-4 turns, something like that. He has been holding his super, but decides to use it right now. We'll see what he does. He's not gonna get the comm tower. is at 9, so it was interrupted. So sends this fighter, kill that copter. Sends the recon, kills an infantry, sends another fighter to kill another copter. Everything in range of these fighters too, so these are gonna die next turn. Injures that infantry, kills that other infantry. Finishes off that infantry. Moves the lander. The Black Bolt repairs a comm tower. But the infantry decides not to capture the comm tower. We, could have finished it right there because of the repair. But decides to move on to the lab. So if he gets the lab, he wins. Finishes off that infantry. Starts to capture the lab. Why not? Starts attacking units, blocks here with his tank, attacks this mech. Oh, wait. He kills the tank with the anti-air, brings the bomber to kill that anti-air, brings the tank and kills that tank. Brings his infantry as a blocker, really forming the blob, the LVJD blob, but the shock blob over here to threaten this lab cap. Trying to go for this comm tower, but with a 9 HP infantry, so it's not gonna happen. And Von Bolt has his super ready, so you know that's gonna be used for sure. And the shark wants, when you have the missile ready, or when the opponent has the missile ready, this is a good little thing from Shark. Builds a bunch of units. Instead of sending these two, just leaves them here, brings in the copters. This is the little missile bait. Wants to make sure it hits over here and not over here. Kills that anti-air. More infantry, just throwing them in front to block stuff. So, doesn't matter what LVJD does. He does have to try to interrupt this capture, or else Shock wins next turn. And now, I wonder if there's a way to break through. The missile is used, and it will land over here. Yep. Boom. But there's two tiles that are with mountains, so only air units can hit, and there is no copter or bomber that can strike from over here. There's only these two tiles where land units could hit, of which this Neo tank can't because it's blocked, and nothing can come and help it to free this tank or this tank. This mag infantry, nothing is in range. There's nothing in range to stop the lab cap. And so, AWBW resigns. And Shock wins. Just like that. Just like that. In one turn, a very well planned turn. I imagine that Shock planned this last turn very, very much. I mean, you always plan your turns, but when you're going for something like this, you want to make sure that there's absolute no possibility for your opponent to stop this HQ/lab. And there's literally there's nothing to be done. There's no way of redirecting the missile because it's over here. There's nothing that LVJD can do to these units to redirect the missile somewhere else, like over here, which would be nice. If it landed here, then it would not only injure the infantry, but it would also not let it capture the next turn. There's no unit in range. Like, even if there's no units of Shock, this tank can't reach. None of these can reach. Not even this anti-air. These fighters can't strike the infantry. The only unit in range, I believe, is this Neo tank, but it can't reach because there's units blocking. So he made sure that there was 0% chance of LVJD from stopping the capture. That was a very, very strong turn, holding that super, and just also, like, he was trying to fight over here, and I want my comm tower, and LVJD was like, no, you're not having that comm tower. And then finally, after a few turns of Shock losing units, I was like, fine, you know what, I won't have that comm tower. I will just move somewhere else. And that's kind of like the counter for blobs, the death ball kind of approach. The counter kind of thing, or if you wanna play around the blob, is to literally just play around, like move your units somewhere else, go somewhere where that death ball isn't. It is risky though, because abandoning this area from shock could also mean that LBJD could then move towards this area and go for a lab cap of his own. So that is very, very risky. I wonder if Shock, when he decided to pull his units over here, he was already planning on going for the lab cap, or if he just saw the opportunity in the last turn. I was like, okay, I'm going in. Maybe LBJD reacted too much to the little front shift from Shock when he moved this way. LBJD also chased the units. If LBJD would have guessed that Shock was going to this area, to the lab, then maybe LBJD could have gone over here and try to win the race to the lab cap. It's definitely very tricky. There's a lot of situations where I myself also find myself reacting to the other players, and that little movement from LBJD definitely was a reaction moment from LBJD against Shock's friendship. Sometimes it's okay, like you want to be moving, you want to be matching your forces, but in this case it seems like it didn't work out. Maybe there could have been a different positioning from LBJD, or maybe he should have had, I don't know, artillery or something here. Like there's definitely a lot of things that could have changed from LBJD's approach. He maybe like over invested over here. His little force that was over here, I think, got a little exposed. Let's see. Oh yeah, so he used the little task force that he had over here to stop the comm tower cap, but then all of it got killed by Shock, and so then there's just nothing left to stop the lab cap. Maybe he didn't realize that he could go here. To be honest, when I saw this last turn, when he had gone like this and then he sent the infantry, this little infantry, to interrupt this cap, I was like, okay, so Shock is also not gonna get this comm tower. Like yeah, you can capture again, it's gonna be left at 1, but then you know, you can bring the units. But the little black bolt repair was pretty clutch, getting it to 10 to then walk right over here into the lab. You start capping and just block everything away. That was really, really smart. That was a very, very good move. But this is also to like show that this is a crazy idea. Like look at all this movement in just a few turns. Like all of a sudden the match completely changed. And sometimes you gotta think about those crazy approaches. Like, what if I did this turn? And just, you know, just plan it out. Just what if I use my super and I did, and just it's like a puzzle. Sometimes turns are like puzzles, and you cannot. It's good to think about the craziest idea that you can have in a turn. Plan it out, see if it can work. If it doesn't work, it's fine. Just do a less crazier idea, or just like leave it for next turn, or prepare, you know. But this was really, really cool. So congrats to Shock. That was a really fun match. LBJD's approach over here was very strong as well. Yeah, I hope you guys liked this video on this match, and see you next time.